Everybody's talking about our friend of the show, Jay Beagle, the other night. He kind of maybe lost his mind a little bit, cross-checked Trevor Zegras and fought Troy Terry or kind of beat up Troy Terry. I'm curious your thoughts on kind of the entire situation, what Jay did, and kind of some of the backlash that we've seen the last couple of days.
Yeah, well, I definitely do have an opinion on it. I watched at first I saw the interview, the post game interview with Zegras,
Yeah.
and I was thinking like, oh man, this guy's going off on someone. I wonder who it is. And then I saw the clip, and I mean, my first thought is I don't understand what the big idea, like what's the big problem? Like this happens all the time. You poke at a goalie, especially when the game was 5
Right.
nothing or 6 nothing, whatever it is. Like, and he's already scored a goal the way he scored a goal earlier in the game. Like, you need to expect something's going to happen. And maybe it's the part of the issue is that he's a young, inexperienced guy who is getting everything, so many things are going right for him offensively, and people are all, so hot for him right now that he kind of thinks he can go out there and do whatever he wants. And I think that's where part of the issue is. He hasn't had anyone really stand up to him before. And they traded Delorier. Manson's not there. They don't have an enforcer or someone that can protect those guys right now. Maybe there's somebody else on that team that's tough and can fight and stuff. But it's just there's all these things that he hasn't had to deal with before. And he got a little too far in front of himself there, and you run into a guy like Beegs, and Terry comes in to defend Zegras, and you ran into a guy like Beegs. It's what it is. You can't.
And Jay's not a goon here. Like Jay is not
No.
Jay. That's never been Jay Beagle's game.
No, but he's going to defend himself, right? And that's the thing. If you're going to come into a scrum like that, you better be really good at seat belting, or you better be tough enough to handle what's coming to you. And
I've heard that phrase before. I never heard. I know what it is, but I've never heard it called seatbelting.
yeah. So like here, for example, I'm by no means a good fighter, at all, but I know how to tie somebody up or defend
Right.
a punch, right? And so it's happened before where I knew that I have to step in to do something. And, if the guy drops his gloves to fight me, I better be prepared to not die, essentially is what it is. And so he just wasn't prepared for that. And so I have absolutely no problem with the play whatsoever. What bugged me too is the comment in that, in that interview saying, he's a 30 goal scorer or whatever, and the league should protect him. To me, it doesn't matter if you're a 30 goal scorer or a 1 goal scorer. It's the same rules for everybody, and teams construct themselves certain ways to make sure that they're safe. Look at the
That's
Rangers.
why Zach Cassian with the Oilers for McDavid and a Draisaitl, and you mentioned
Exactly.
Ryan Reeves. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have guys that are out there that can do it. Edmonton's great because they also have Nurse who can
Yes.
throw them. Like they've got lots of players that are there. And so that was we go back to the story against the Bruins. Hendy fought Campbell and beat him up. And next thing you know, we have McQuaid and Thornton coming after him. That's just
Right.
it's a little bit of an old school mentality, but at the same time, that's kind of how we police the league and how it's done. So I mean, I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with it, but look, you protect the goalie at all costs, and that's what happens.
Yeah, to me, there are two parts of this. I don't necessarily agree with taking retribution for how he scored the goal. I don't. To me, like you shouldn't be punished for the skill part. But if you're
Right.
poking at the goalie, if you're involved in a scrum, it's kind of fair game. So I do agree with the kind of take of we don't want to kind of punish guys for scoring those kind of goals. You want to stop that? Stop them from scoring the goal.
Exactly.
That's where I'm at on this. But I don't think Jay did it because he scored the Michigan goal.
No.
I think he was doing it because he was protecting his guys. You get frustrated in a moment like that. And I think it was all about that scrum. I think it was kind of centrally located to that. It had nothing to do with how he scored that goal.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But keeping in mind that if someone scores a goal like that against your team, in your head you're thinking, that should never have happened. Like I got to be better, and
Sure,
and that bugs you a little bit. Someone scores a highlight reel goal against your team, like you almost in a way feel a little bit embarrassed, and you don't want to have that embarrassment. And so you're not looking to go after him. But I mean, it was a little cross check, and he went down hard,
right.
and then everything led to the next thing. I don't know. I think it's gotten blown out of proportion, and I'm going to defend Jay on this. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, same thing. It's like I don't think you should ever take retribution because someone scores a great goal like that. But if you're involved in a poking at the goalie situation, it was a little cross check, and then tensions kind of rose from there in the scrum. I think to me, and it's also the frustration of losing a game, being the worst team in the NHL, and losing a bunch of games this year, and just all of that kind of builds up. It's to me, it's a weird mix of kind of the old school what hockey is and what a lot of kind of new school hockey people want it to be, and it's transitioning a little bit. But this was a very kind of polarizing topic because people were either like you are and saying, okay, like this is Jay's in the right, and everyone else saying get Jay out of the league, which seems crazy.
Well, yeah, I replied on one of the comments I saw. So I think somewhere on Twitter just said like, this is the new NHL. This is what it is. The young guys come in at 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're given everything. You know, they have okay, I shouldn't say they're given everything. They earn it because they're good players. But
Of course,
they all of a sudden are getting, $8 million a year at 20 years old or 21 years old with 8-year deals, and the coaches are, twisting to make sure that they're feeling good and happy and all that stuff. And then they start to feel, extra special, and so they can get away with a few more things. There's no rookieing, which I understand. There isn't, the rookie dinners are a lot less intense and so it's easier. We joke around and say it's softer. If we would ask Jason Chimera, he would say new NHL 5 times a day, because some of the things that he would see happening. So it's the direction that the league is in. But if you go back and watch every single game, anytime a goalie gets touched, something happens, sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, but something happens. And so it doesn't matter who you are, maybe if it's Ryan Reeves and there's just a bunch of skilled guys on the ice, nothing really happens, but someone will go and say something at least. And so this is just what happens.
Yeah, and look, there are things in hockey culture that's changing, but I don't think you're ever going to go away from protecting your teammates, standing up for your teammates in situations like that. If you feel like your goalie's getting poked at, or you feel like your teammates getting shoved or something, that I think that element of hockey is always going to be there.
Yeah, and I think it should. I think that we should protect ourselves. And that's I'm trying to think of the other sports. Like there isn't really, like there's obviously physicality in a lot of the other sports as well, but it's different. Like I feel like lacrosse and hockey are kind of on the same page. And I don't know. Do you fight in field lacrosse at all?
I don't think you can actually fight in field lacrosse.
Okay, so in box lacrosse, what we play a lot in Canada, it's the same thing. You still fight because you get slashed, you get cross-checked in a way you don't like, or something happens, then you settle it that way. And it's what makes our sports unique, I think. And I'm on the side of keeping it, but being smart about it at the same time. And so
right.
I like that the game has an edge. I think that's what a lot of fans like as well. I think that's why they like to watch the game. So I think it would be a shame to get rid of that stuff.
And look, I don't think fighting is ever going to go away completely. We've seen it drastically reduced just because, look, the salary cap, can't afford to keep guys who just fight on the roster and all that. But Gary Bettman said this: if you didn't have fighting, you might have guys slashing each other and more kind of stick stuff and things after the whistle, that it kind of lowers the temperature of a game. Look at that Tom Wilson, Brendan Smith fight in the Caps Carolina game. The fans went nuts. And look, bad game for the Capitals and all that, but it brought an arena alive. And it was something that the Hurricanes wanted to answer after that hit from Tom on Vincent Trocheck, which was a clean hit, but a big hit. And it was one of those, Tom was willing to answer the bell. Everybody kind of loved it. And it is something that's unique to hockey that I think a lot of newer fans don't understand or don't like. Yeah. And it's better that we don't have 30 fights a game or all of that. That's a good thing. You don't want guys getting concussions and those sort of things. Very sensitive to that stuff, but it does kind of lower the temperature of a game so you don't have cheap shots and slashes all over the place.
Exactly. And people will police themselves, right? If there's an option to do it. That's the discussion with football. Is there as big of hits or as dirty hits if they're wearing less padding, something like that, or if it can be policed, like will some guys be as dirty or as aggressive as they are if there's a chance for retribution? And I don't think so. I think you look at rugby as a perfect example. There's still big hits, but they have to hit a certain way and they have to be strategic about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm sure Beags doesn't care because he doesn't even know how to probably open up a web page to read anything. So not a big deal for him, but it's still frustrating to see.
Yeah, I just don't like the kind of piling on Jay Beagle like he is a goon who always hits dirty and does these things. That's not at all. Like, we've known Jay Beagle. You've known Jay Beagle for a long time, really well. That's not him. And that's the part to me that it's not like he's some Neanderthal. He's
Right.
so right. Okay, so when we come back on All's Caps, we'll be joined by NBC Sports Washington's Alexa Landestoy. This is AP hockey writer Steve Wino with former Capitals defenseman Carla Alsner, the host of the All's Caps podcast on Ampire Media.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody that's tuning in to the All's Caps podcast on the Ampire Media YouTube channel. We're going to try and get as much going as we can.
We love doing the video stuff. I hope you also get a chance to listen to the John Keim report about the Washington Commanders. We're going to have John on at some point and do some cross promotion, but please stay tuned to everything that we have on Ampire Media, on YouTube, and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.